Welcome to Artist on Record, our members only show, unedited. Today we have in the hot seat the God of Thunder himself. We're waiting for him to arrive, Mr. Gene Simmons. It all starts
How are you,
now.
sir?
How are you doing, Gene?
Deliriously happy.
I know you don't have a head. You don't have earplugs or anything like that. How you using the mic from the actual phone?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Whatever you say. You're the chief here. I'm just Stefan.
Simplify life instead
I
of
said,
walking around like a robot.
hey, before we get started, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it, Gene. You're all right with me. Give me a hard time.
I have a feeling everybody gives you a hard time.
It's okay. It's okay.
Well,
It's
somebody's got to be the piñata.
You know, Gene, I got to share something with you because I love you so much and I adore you. This is from when I was 10 years old. The limbs aren't so great, but 10 years old. And I almost ruined it. I don't know what happened to him. It's like the real guy, but missing him.
People go to jail for that, you know.
I know, but I almost cut the hair off like the elder when I was a kid. I did it, but there's a little memory here, and I don't know if you want one of these, but I could always send this to you, Stefan doll. Everybody wants one.
Coffee talk.
This is your invitation from me, Gene Simmons. Join me in a real recording studio where the biggest stars in the world actually record and make their music. I want you to be with me in the recording studio a full day and record with me. Only you are going to be having access to your copy of the song. Join me. This promises to be an event you will long remember. What an amazing experience.
So when I was growing up, the entire recording process was such a mystery to me. You'd hear a Beatle record or Stones or Hendrix or somebody, and in the old days, you'd put the needle on and the music would just happen. And it was a complete mystery. Nobody had a clue, regular people on the street, how it was done. What's a recording studio? What's a fader? What's a microphone? What's a this? What's it? So nobody understood,
Yeah.
or we didn't even think about it. We couldn't conceive of it. So what I'm going to do is the second time I've done it. I did one at Electric Lady Studios in New York a day after we finished our last show. Is May 4th and May 5th in Las Vegas at the Hideout Studios, which everybody uses. Jeff Beck and Stevie Wonder, everybody's been there. Taylor Swift, I think. I'm going to take over the studio for a day, and a select group of fans are going to join me, and you're going to record with me, and I'll produce it, and only you will get, it's a full day, and only you will get the copy of the song that you can do with as you please. So the shortcut is, if you want to get all the details, go to Gene Simmons Recording Events, plural, Gene Simmons Recording Events.com, and all the info is there. But in short, May 4th, May 5th in Las Vegas at Hideout Studios. Go to Gene Simmons Recording Events.com and you'll get all the info. And obviously, I can't take in thousands of people, maybe 100 at the most over both days. So it's going to be very limited.
Very limited. How about that? Recorded, produced by the founding father of Kiss and the man who you could say discovered Van Halen in some kind of crazy fashion, huh?
Very real fashion.
Yeah. I heard the story before, but I didn't know the deep cuts of the Van Halen story with you and Van Halen. We'll talk about this. I want to talk about a lot, your new band and what you got going on. That's so you turned into a George Martin now.
No, I couldn't shine his shoes, but certainly he was at the right place at the right time with the right thing, which is the Beatles, because George Martin, became world famous because of those
Yeah.
Beatle records. But I would venture to say it's safe to say that if he happened to be there when Mo, Larry, and Curly showed up in the studio, he'd be doing comedy records, which, by the way, he did before the Beatles.
mean, was the Beatles? I think that was his first kind of rock band to do, right? He was
Yeah,
doing classical before George
yeah.
Martin. Yeah,
That's
pretty.
and that's interesting because his background also widened the scope of what and who the Beatles are. Because in the hands of another producer, who would have put on all strings, no guitars, no drums, nothing on Yesterday?
I mean, you think about the Beatles, Gene. I think we spoke about it before. The short period of all the music they put out in that time period, it's unbelievable.
Especially since they didn't have a history of being songwriters or anything. It just happened. And if you consider that George Harrison was supposed to be the less talented guy, he would have been one of the major songwriters in any band. How about a guy steps up and says, I only got 3 or 4 songs. I got Here Comes the Sun. I've got While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I got Something and a few others. You'd say, this guy's the best songwriter of all time. Nope. In the Beatles, he was the lesser songwriter. Just really amazing.
When you think about how it grew from Don't Bother Me, might have been his first song that he wrote with the Beatles, having Frank Sinatra covering your music.
And I was there when Frank covered it at in where was it? Greek Theater, I think it was. At that time, I was managing Liza's recording career, so we're sitting in the front row, and I brought Peter Criss along because he's Italian and because Frank was God. How you doing? He's doing all that stuff. Peter,
Oh,
relax. We're right in the front row. Frank's going to wave at us and do all that stuff because I'm kind of a big deal. And sure enough, Sinatra comes to the lip of the stage. And now I'd like to do some Nelson Riddle arranged called Something.
To something that so happens to be the title. This is a great song by George Harrison of the Beatles. It's one of the best love songs I believe to be written in 50 or 100 years, and it never says I love you in the song, but it really is one of the finest.
And he goes, Something in the, and unbelievable. Yeah.
wow. That's
Well, I
pretty
was
cool.
right.
Pretty cool. Very cool, man. Sinatra, huh? Did you get to meet him afterwards, talk with him one-on-one?
Oh, hello, goodbye. Liza she actually took over one of the spots of the Rat Pack. It was Dean, Sammy Davis, Jr., obviously, and I was over at Sammy's house. He invited me over. We talked stories and all that. And Dean Martin, I think Dean Martin got sick later on, and they substituted Liza, and they did these arena tours that were massive. And then from there, during the time I was managing Liza, and she's still fine, by the way, she did 27 Radio City Music Hall concerts.
Wow.
Yeah, that was big.
That's huge. How did you hook up with Liza, managing her
I have
career?
known her socially. We met. Actually, I think the first time we met was at Halston's. I don't know if you know who that was. He was a designer,
Yeah.
the preeminent designer for all women. In fact, there have been streaming movies about that. And it was when I was going out with Cher, and she brought me along, and we're at Halston's, and everybody is there. Nureyev, very famous ballet dancer from Russia. Pacino was there. Obviously, Cher, everybody. And I'm just sitting off in the corner going, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
And Liza came over and in front of Cher, and I got down on her knees and started singing to us. I don't remember, my old piano or something. And then we'd see each other socially. Hi, how you doing? Later on. And then she asked me, look, I don't know why Madonna's getting all the accolades. I've got a much longer career. I want to be on the charts. I want to fill up arenas. And I don't think at that point she even had a gold record. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But I brought her in, went in front of Walter Yetnikoff, the CEO of CBS, Columbia, and so on. Walter, I'd like you to sign Liza. He goes, you got a deal, just like that. So she was signed. And there was a great A&R guy who I knew before, Goldie, who put her together with the Pet Shop Boys. So the Pet Shop Boys and Liza went into the studio and made an album that was huge worldwide.
Remember that very well. Was that the first person you managed, got into management? Was
There
Liza?
were other artists that I just didn't want to spend the time with because a lot of managers are babysitters. You know, I got a paper cut. I've got a fight with my girlfriend. Can you think it's got nothing to do with career? And a lot of artists need hand holding.
Yeah.
So I managed for a short time Jenny Moldar, who eventually was signed to Warner's. She was the daughter of Maria Moldar. Midnight at the Oasis. She had a hit, and her dad had a jug band, which used to be a thing. So there was a musical family, and she always wanted to sing. She was a talented girl, but you know the hand holding and babysitting was too much. So, and I was making a living, and to be quite blunt, I didn't need the money. I don't mean that. We all need the money, but I wasn't willing to do that. And there were other artists. For a short time, I was going to manage Sass Jordan, who was a Canadian singer, for a short time, but she wouldn't take direction. She just wouldn't say, "I want you to do this. At least meet with this person." She came to LA. I introduced her to people, and talented but difficult artist. And I told her, I'm out. And of course, nothing's happened to her.
I remember her very well, actually, and this is where we could segue into what you're doing because Brian Tishy, he used to play with her too. Taylor Hawkins was playing with her.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
Brian's just a monster on drums. This little side band I've got, Gene Simmons band, speaking of potato chips, every one of the guys can sing lead, and they all play, both guitarists, Brent Woods, lead guitars. They can play lead. Any one of them can front their own band, so it's a really good band. It's a shortcut, so you can infer a musical change, or how about this? They get it immediately instead of here. Let me show you how. And I wasn't planning on going out so soon and playing music. You know, after Kiss, you'd think, take a few years off and twiddle your thumbs. Do people know what twiddle is? Haven't heard that word a lot. Twiddle your thumb. Twiddle your schmeckle, I understand, but twiddle your thumb.
You're talking my language.
We're talking. So out of nowhere, I got a call from a promoter who said, good guy, who said, how'd you like to headline one of the days at this big Sao Paulo festival for 50 to 80,000 people? I don't know how many are going to show up. I said, sure, when? He goes, April. Okay, I guess I better put together a band. But as it happened, necessity is the mother of invention. The guys were available, and they've all played with all kinds of bands. So it was a real shortcut, and they knew the material and everything. So it's much more adventurous because we get to play stuff that I've never played live, not with Kiss, not with anything else, like Weapons of Mass Destruction.
The Weapons of Mass Destruction,
which is real heavy, off of my Asshole solo album. Yes, it was called Asshole. And quite a few others. So it's a much heavier live band. And everybody sings.
Yeah, I remember the asshole. I actually went with Eric I have the VIP backstage pass to that still. I kept it. It was great. It was at the Key Club, I think your party might have been at, if I recall. Eric.
You mean for the Asshole solo
asshole
album?
party? Yeah, I remember that exactly.
It was a zoo, wasn't it?
It was a zoo. Brian Tishy, I don't know if you know this one, but when I got the call when I was doing my cover band, Eddie Van Halen called me up on the phone, and I deleted the message. I don't save anything. I'm an idiot. But Tishy was the drummer. It was me and Brian Tishy and Derek Sherinian. We were the band that played with Eddie at his house, infamous house party. Yeah.
I'll tell everybody, you can't just skim over that. He's passed sadly now, but wasn't Eddie Van Halen just a sweetheart, nicest guy you'd ever want to meet?
Gene, no, to be honest with you, I couldn't. I got the phone call, Stefan, Ed Van Halen, and I couldn't believe that he's even calling. I thought it was a joke. But I remember going to his house and I had my bass, and he's like a mad scientist, as you know, and he was
Oh,
into and he was going to intonate it and was fretting out. So I was with John Corabi and Brian Tishy, and
I forgot to mention, I used to manage Karabi's band Angora for a short time as well.
Did you
Oh,
really?
everybody, sure. Hey, operator, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's
But
wow.
go back to the story.
No, but I went to Eddie. I go, watch this, John. Nobody's gonna believe this one. And I go, Eddie, can you just fix my bass? And he's E string running in his house, like to the
Like that.
piano, like running to a piano, hitting the note, comes back, A running. And I go, Eddie, you want my guitar tuner? And he got mad. He goes, Stefan,
Train the ear.
here, exactly like that. I look at correct. So you don't want my guitar tuner? It's just being
I don't
schmucky
use
Stefan.
I don't use them either.
You don't use it, huh?
No, the tech guys do, but this band has no roadies, no stage show, no nothing. Everything's rented. We tune our own instruments. I'll tell you the
Simple.
quick story is
Yeah.
Van Halen was coming up in the world, and they were headlining, their own show at Nassau Coliseum in New York City. It was one of the first arena shows they've done. So I went there, obviously, because I have a love for the band, and took them into the studio for the first time. We did 15 songs. By the way, if you don't know about this, Google and Schmoogle Van Halen House of Pain demo, Gene Simmons. And it's one of the 15 songs that never wound up, the arrangement on the record, and it kills. It's almost completely live in the studio, and it's just a steamroll, just unbelievable. At any rate, we're backstage, and I remember Joey Ramone was back there, a lot of other sort of hangers on. And Edward, as he liked to be called, came over, and he's got his guitar. They're about to go on, half hour, whatever. He's just talking to people with his guitar around his neck, which I wouldn't do. It would be on stage being tuned, whatever. So stupidly, I said, "Hey, Ed, do you mind if I play a few licks on your guitar?" He said, "Sure." So he gave me the guitar. Acoustically, obviously, it's not plugged in. And I've told this story before. And I tried playing a few chords, and it was way out of tune. I mean, down there, up there, it's way out of tune. I said, "Eddie, you can't go up on stage. This thing's out of tune." He goes, "Yeah, I'll show you." So he took the guitar back. He constructed his guitar. He took a neck from another guitar that he liked because of the feel of the fretboard and connected it to either a Schecter or Stratocaster, whatever that body was, put different pickups on it. He, in essence, made that guitar. And that neck had give. He literally bent the neck into tune, which I've never seen done before.
Genius.
And live, he'd constantly be doing that.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he was something else. Really, really down to earth guy too. When I met him, I was thinking, this is Edward Van Halen. I can't believe it. And it was wild. And he didn't play with
just salt of the earth. Never heard him say anything bad about anybody.
He didn't play, he actually said that on drummers, he always played with his brother, and Tishy might have been one of the odd drummers for him to ever jam with besides Alex. So there's a little tidbit out there for the fans watching that. And Brian will be playing with Gene and his band.
That's right. Another little tidbit is Alex was originally the guitar player and Edward was originally the drummer.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's how good they were. And they decided to just switch. Here, you play guitar, I'll play drum. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Wolf is actually very talented too.
Fantastic.
Breaking out of that following of your dad, how do you walk away from that? Because everybody wants Eddie Van Halen, but he is actually talented, got songs.
Yeah.
Really, it does it all.
He's got the chops. Called hard work.
Yeah.
You got the 10,000 hour principle was actually a book idea. Anything you spend 10,000 hours on and more, you'll wind up being pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
You'll certainly be better than if you don't.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. So let me ask you, can we another shout out I want to give you? You're doing a Facebook Live Q&A. You're doing that May 7th. Yeah.
And that's because, for the longest time, technology's been there, and I think a lot of people have abused it. And you get sick and tired of people who are on all the time. Uh, but it's time. There have been a lot of questions that the fans have wanted to ask me about how does it feel? What are you doing? What do you got? What do you know? What do you say? All that. And so I thought, yeah, why not? At least a half hour. So we'll do that Facebook Live event for about a half hour, May 7th.
Yeah.
For that, May 4th and 5th, I'll be in Las Vegas at Hideout Studios, and you can be in the studio with me, and you would get the only recording of that song that you can do whatever you want with. So go to Gene Simmons recordingevents.com. You'll find out all the info.
This is only the beginning.
And also for everybody watching, if you click right above Gene's head, there's a link that'll take you right directly to that site. So make sure you click right there, right above Gene's head, and hang with Gene. You and a friend go there, record with the man.
I did forget that. I mean, there'll be food and strippers and midgets. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, what will be there? Tell me what's going on.
We're taking over the entire studio, so there'll be food all day, and you're not going to leave. It's going to be many hours and a lot of fun. You can bring videos. You can video the whole thing. You can do whatever you want, and bring somebody who you want as your guest, either your child or your girlfriend or wife or boyfriend, as the case may be, or trans friend or non-binary friend. It's everybody's welcome.
We're all welcome.
It's all welcome.
We're all welcome here, you know. But
it's all okay.
It'll be a fun time.
You know why? Because and then you die. You know, life is too short to worry about any of that.
Too short, man. It's too short. So everybody, make sure you click right above Gene. I'll put the links right and right there. Click. Bring a friend. Chat with Gene. Tell him that ADIKA sent you. All righty. In the meantime, Gene, I got to say something. The last time I saw you, it was a hectic night. Madison Square Garden.
Tell us about the pizza boxes.
We're going to try to get the pizza boxes a little earlier because it's going to be a big line. They're limited. Maybe they'll give me one a day earlier. They're going to sell out. You'll never get them again. Let's see what happens.
Come on Friday. December 1st is Friday. Everybody wants them come on Friday.
And you open at what time?
10 a.m.
Okay.
Day 2, Prince Street Pizza. Let's see if I can get a box this time. There's people waiting. People don't even want the pizza. They just want the box. Let's go check it out. Ah, there you go. Anything to anybody from Kiss? Would you want to give a message to one band member? Who would it be?
I guess Gene.
Gene, what would you like to say to Gene?
You guys gave me a lot of joy over the past 50 years, and I'll never forget you.
How many pies did you buy?
We bought 3 pies, but we only took one with us.
You didn't want to take all the pizzas? You just took the box. They didn't want the pizza. They just took the box. All right, so here we are. There's the pizzas. There's the boxes. Oh, there he is. Right here.
I'm a huge fan.
What we were able to do by hook or by crook in New York for those last 2 shows is we were on the cover of the New York Post, one of the 2 major newspapers in New York, 3 days in a row, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's ever done that. Not the Beatles, Elvis, nobody. And 800 New York taxi cabs were all covered by Kiss imagery and all that stuff. If you went into the subway, you couldn't get a subway ticket without us on the ticket. The Empire State Building was lit up with our colors. We were there. We went to the top, where King Kong fell off, all the way, and revisited the spot where in 1776, we took that photo hanging off the side of the building. We were completely butts, as my friends from Little Italy say, could have easily fallen off a big gust of wind, but there we are hanging over the side of the thing. Now they have, big metallic things in it, but it was an amazing thing. So you could go to Prince Street and get your pizza, and the boxes were all covered. So of course they're all sold out. Not only that, but the day that week there were some hockey games at the
Rangers.
Rangers, right? And so there were Rangers Kiss paraphernalia, which all sold out in a half hour.
Yeah, and I actually went around town. I filmed it so I could add it in here and put clips of it. I actually went around filming it for the show here, but it was Kiss took over Manhattan, which was incredible. I go to the pizza place in Little Italy. No pizza, no soup for you. It was like Jerry Seinfeld, the soup Nazi. You have to come back tomorrow. And I actually,
By the way, who's a real guy? The real
yeah.
soup Nazi is actually there. I think on 54th Street.
What is it
It's just,
really?
oh yes, I've been going there for forever. When I was in New York, a window would open up. There'd be line around the block, and it would be soup that day. There's no, I'll have a little more of this, And if he doesn't like you, he tell you to go fuck off.
Unbelievable. Well, New York, it fits right, huh? It fits right, and makes you want to come back for more. His soup got to be great if he's telling me to fuck off. Basically,
lines around the block.
that's the way it is. But I ended up getting my box the next day. I had to go there with a telephone call, and it was like Mission Impossible. Eric goes, "Go at this time. Gene is ready." I call. I show the guy FaceTime. You're on my phone. I showed him your picture, and you're talking. Would you give my friend a pizza box? And,
I'm definitely gonna give him the pizza box. I promise. I got you.
I saw Nick walking in the streets, and I go, "Hey, Nick, it's
My
Stefan,
son.
your son, Nick Simmons." And I go, "Nick, it's Stefan." And I go, and he's waiting online, and the yarmulke came on. I go, "What are you waiting online for?" I got connections. I'll get you to, like I'm using your connection.
What
I go,
goes around, what goes
okay.
around comes around.
He goes, "I already ordered and paid." I go, "You should have told me. You don't have to buy." I go, "Come on." He goes, "Well, I'm not worried about it." I go, "But yeah, but we all want a deal, Nick." So that was it. But yeah, but it was cool. It was Nick, I got to tell you something, Gene. You got to think about it. 50 years, here you are, a kid. When you were a kid, you come to New York, you don't even speak English with your mom, and you're learning. And who would imagine that years later, having the dream of just playing rock and roll, from loving the Beatles and all this stuff, and here you are taking over Manhattan, Subway, New York Post, pizza boxes, everywhere you look, the Empire State Building.
Anything,
Mass,
anything is possible in America. Just anything is. We we're talking. I'm talking on my cell phone, which, by the way, technology was invented in Haifa, at Haifa Motorola in Israel. But you fly through the air, it's America. Computers, America. You drive a car, America. It's like television, America. It's just this magic place where there are no limits. Anything you can imagine.
no limits, man. It's pretty great, man. And being the guy in the crowd watching you guys, and to feel the experience, it was throb in New York City, and it was
You know,
huge.
they don't take any prisoners. If they don't like you, New York audiences, every day of the week there are concerts. Everybody comes in and plays all the time. You got to have the goods, and if you're not giving it out, they're not going to take it. And it was packed. Those 2 days were packed beyond. But the emotional thing for me, obviously the last shows,
Mm-hmm.
but looking out is seeing the different emotional thing as fans, are singing along with the songs, crying, as some of the people from the tribe say, I got verklempt.
Okay, the last show, I remember seeing you, and I didn't want to get in your way, not like I see everybody bothering you, and I stand back. My little daughter, the biggest fan, just she's so excited. She wanted to go. She went and got makeup done. There was even pop-up stores, a tattoo place doing Kiss makeups, which
Yeah, that's right. There were Kiss pop-up stores all over, and yeah.
Yeah, there was which Nick, your son, got a tattoo. And I go, "Did you show your dad that? How did you, when he showed it to you, he showed it to you at the right time when you were being interviewed. What do your mind when you go?"
Well, he was always anti-tattoo or piercings and all that stuff. The guys like, what are you going to do when you're a grandfather? Hey, look at this motorcycle
Yeah.
with a devil on it or something. And he said that he did it as an homage. And I felt, very proud. What can I say?
Yeah, that's cool. Now he loves you. You got a great kids, and you know what? You're a great father, Gene, and a great husband. That last show, when Paul Stanley said, and I, even just watching you, he goes, I can imagine Gene's mom. I remember her being right there.
Looking up there and seeing my mom and my dad. I can remember looking over there and seeing Gene's mom. matter whether you're up here, down there. All you ever want is your parents' approval. You want them to love what you're doing. Our parents did that for us. Tonight, you're doing it for us. New York City, we're home.
Wow. That hit you right there on the stage. What
Oh
was
yeah,
going
she was always be on my side, you know, doing that back. And my mother spoke broken English with her thick Hungarian accent. I remember she'd always ask me, "How is the orchestra?" They're fine, Mom. Everybody's good. She lived to be 94 years old.
incredible? 94, huh?
Incredible life. And when she was very young, she was in a concentration camp with the rest of our family in Nazi Germany. Yeah.
Crazy. It's a crazy story, the whole it's even crazy. I don't know if the fans are really aware of that, but even Tommy Thayer, it's a weird circle because Tommy's dad, who went and rescued a bunch of Jews in the camps, his troops, or whatever the right word, you could help me correct. I know 4 words here. I'm from Brooklyn, so you understand me. But his troops not too far where your mom was, his platoon went and rescued. It's kind of weird. Like, here's Tommy Thayer's dad rescuing where your mom.
Very strange. And Tommy's father, likewise, lived to be 96 years old. And the great generation is what that generation is called. You have to understand that in World War II, the most chaotic, evil war that has ever been fought on the history of humanity, over 100 million people died. 100 million, not counting those wounded. There could be another 100 million wounded, and all that. And not counting the psychologically wounded, PTS and so on. Just
It's yeah. When I sit there and I think about the story,
unfathomable.
Here you got somebody's father rescuing your mom being rescued, and then in the end of the movie, there is the big rock band. There is Gene, you, and there's Tommy. It was a weird little circle of love and hope. It was a great ending. I started thinking about that. I actually want to get Tommy on the show to talk about his dad, a real rock star in my eyes. That
Oh
is.
yeah.
Gene, going back to that garden show too, when you walked off stage, I saw you were being interviewed, you still, the energy from the stage, the costume is heavy on you, a lot going in your mind, you lost for words. I saw the lady interviewing you. Now that the dust has settled, anything now that you wanted to say, you didn't say at that moment?
Yes, I'm proud that we did this at the right time, at the right place. Because, let's call it for what it is. How many world champion boxers have stayed in the ring too long? Think about it. The best of the best get knocked out by some new chump because they stayed there too long. And we've all seen shows that have gone on too long. Leave them wanting. 50 years is plenty. And the other thing is, we introduced ourselves with, you wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest band in the world. That's how you're going to introduce yourselves, and you're going to come out in wheelchairs with fireballs on the sides. So you want to get off that stage while the getting's good. You don't want to become fat, naked, bloated Elvis on a bathroom floor when you are the king of rock and roll. That's not the way to go out. And in a very bizarre and sad way, Marilyn Monroe will forever be iconic and young because she died when she was young. We don't have an image of her in her 70s and 80s. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But the great stars of yesteryear, once they quit acting, whatever, they would get off the media stage, if you will, and you wouldn't hear Marlene Dietrich. I don't know what she looked like when she was 80, Greta Garbo and so on. They would disappear. They became private citizens, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to be so private because anything you do or say, everybody's always they have the eye on you.
I can't sit still. We're going out with the Gene Simmons band. Only one show in all of South America, Sao Paulo, but then July, August, we're headlining some festivals and joining other bands and other festivals, big outdoor shows. One of them is 80 something thousand people walking in Germany, big, really cool bands. And we're just going to show up and play. There's no stage show, nothing. We actually are using wires. We actually plug into amps the way we used to do it. No technology, no road crew, no managers, no nothing. Just show up and have fun because this band rocks. So it's real easy, having a lot of fun. And in fact, I don't know if this is happening or not, but yesterday, Deep Purple contacted CAA and wanted to know whether or not I'd like to come out and tour with them. We said, yeah, sure, just depending on availability. So we'll see if that happens or not. But I wasn't planning to do that. And I wasn't planning on Simmons Hamilton Films. Well, all of a sudden we've got this film company, and the very first film is called Deep Water. It's got Sir Ben Kingsley and Aaron Eckhart. And the first movie comes out this August in 3,000 theaters across America. That's bigger than most studio films.
Absolutely.
3,000 just in America. That doesn't count the rest of the world. Then The Canyon is the second one that is going to come out. So first one is in August. Second one is, if you go to genesimmons.com, you'll see.
Right above Gene, there's a link. You click on it, it'll take you right there. I'm prepared.
Then The Canyon is going to be coming out a month or two later, before Christmas. That's also really cool. And we're starting work on the third one starting April, written and directed by a Marvel Comics guy. Really cool stuff. And all of a sudden, this is happening. My vodka is exploding. Go to moneybagvodka.com. 10 times distilled. It's absolutely the finest out there, and the coolest bottle. Nobody can reproduce that bottle. Moneybag sodas, 5 flavors, only in bottles, no cans, no preservatives, no food coloring, no processed sugar, real ginger, the real stuff being used in there. So it's a much better product, and of course costs me more to do it. But why the hell would you want to do something if it's not as good as what's already on the shelf? And oh my God, you don't have enough time. I'm involved with a really exciting guy whose name is Chad. I don't want to get too much into it, but the largest sports entertainment facility in Arizona Sports, and that I'm part of that group, and we're going to do things that nobody's ever done before. And you know, the width and breadth of the different companies really don't have much to do with each other.
I got to tell you something, Gene. When do you sleep? When do you do you sleep? Do you get rest?
I do get up in the middle of the night and check emails and news and cryptocurrencies and see how we're doing.
You keep on top of everything, huh?
It's huge.
You keep on top of everything over here. Now, the Gene Simmons Band, everybody that's watching this, links are going to be right above here for Gene's vodka, anything. I'm going to put all links there. Just you click, it'll take you right to Gene's website and check it out, all that. But your upcoming tours, you're going to Brazil, Finland, Sweden, Germany, Holland, Belgium. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let me ask you, and you could plead the fifth on anything I say, you know, everybody's a yenta. That's what the yenta business sells, Gene. I need something. I need gossip. I need dirt. Do you ever plan on doing any new music with your band? You want to write, or you just want to just play what you got and that's it?
I'm open.
Yeah.
You always have to have the right thing at the right place and the right time. We got the right musicians. We got the right guys. I like them. We like hanging out with each other, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
You know, for instance, Ace and Paul and I have had our differences through, but you know, what family doesn't have problems? And even while we were having differences of opinion, Ace called and said, "Can you help me write, you know, a song or two for his last solo record?" And I wasn't doing anything at that. I said, "Sure." So I drove out there and started off with titles that I had. Oh God, I just forgot what they were, and co-wrote two things that appeared on Ace's last record. There's plenty of time to do anything, but you've got to make the time because other stuff just gets in there.
I'm going to tell you, I actually got Ace supposedly coming on the 15th on my show.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I actually have him
Terrific.
coming on.
I know he's happier now. He's touring. He's got a new record. Great.
Yeah, so check that out. Do you have songs on this last record that he did? Is that what you were saying?
I don't
this new
think
one?
so. I don't
No,
think so. No.
the one before that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to
Spaceman, I think.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Now moving forward, everybody, if you want to record with Gene, we got links for that right above Gene. You could check that out. Gene is going to be recording at the Hideout Recording Studio May 4th and 5th. Make sure you click right above there.
And we're talking.
Hmm?
It's going to be a tough one to do. My family and I have been there before, but we're talking about doing a similar event in Europe at Abbey Road.
You know, Gene,
as they say in New York, forget about it.
Gene, to me, that's like the holy grail for
Alex,
guys.
yeah. I took Nick, by the way, when he was out with us, and we stopped in at some recording studios, and they had an X on the floor where Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, they all sang there. And in the corner was this dobro, D-O-B-R-O, stringed instrument like a guitar, built by a dentist by hand.
Wow.
And it appeared on a whole lot of shaking going on. What's Carl Perkins' famous
Blue Suede Shoes?
Step on My Blue Suede Shoes, and a few others. So I took, and Nick was just drooling because Nick can play guitar. So I took the guy aside. Okay, let's make a deal. You know, I'm one of those people. What do you got? What do you know? What do you say? And before we left, I said, Nick, you forgot. He goes, what? You forgot to take that. He goes, what do you mean? So I went over, picked it up, and I said, it's yours. And that dobro sits in Nick's. He looks at it every day.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Abbey Road, man. I got to tell you, Gene, I'll do anything if I could just work. I'll work for free. I'll carry your bags. You could yell at me. You could do whatever. I'll be your Michael Berger, whatever. I would love to be there and just help out. Just whatever. I'm kissing your ass right now.
It is a fascinating studio because it just looks like a building, like any other building. And when you go in there, the ceilings are, as I recall, about 30 feet everything You think it would be a recording studio, but everything was done there.
The history, I think it was a house before it was a recording studio.
That's right.
I was okay. So
and it still looks just like that.
It looks, which McCartney's home, he still has. It's not too far. You could walk from McCartney's house to Abbey Road.
England is much small. They all knew each other. They'd bump into each other, and so the bands would live a few miles from each other. Yeah, it's not like America.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, think about
our landmass is bigger than Europe.
Mm-hmm. But as music fans, you and I, just to be in that room, it just to absorb the history, what was in the beams of that room, what went on.
But it wasn't just a recording studio. If you saw the last Peter Jackson Beatles special, songs were written in that studio. You actually see McCartney going, he's writing Get Back right in the studio. Crazy. And you can see the writing process happening there. Fascinating.
Really fascinating stuff, man. Your time, Kiss being so big in the 70s. You ever had any run-ins with an original Beatle ever in the 70s, and like with Lennon or anything like that? Anything like that?
Well, when I was doing my solo record, I wanted everybody on it. So I had, they have my people and your people. So I had my people contact Lennon and McCartney, who were not at that time together, because it's like, why not? If you have a dream, reach for it. So I couldn't get Lennon and McCartney. Surprise. So I did the next best thing, and I got Mitch Weissman, this guy who did they were in a Beatle tribute thing. I forgot what they were called.
Beetle Mania.
Yeah, that's it. It was
Winter
a
Garden
Broadway
Theater.
show. That's it. So they appeared on the record, but everybody was on my first solo record. Donna Summer, Rick Nielsen, Helen Reddy, Bob Seger, Joe Perry, everybody.
Fantastic album, and we spoke about that record too. And Mitch is a good friend of the show. Yeah, great record. You know, are you going to be doing tracks from that record with the solo band? Can you give me anything?
I did in the previous thing. We used to do Radioactive and a few other things. Sure, why not? I'm totally open to anything.
Yeah, you never ever toured that record. Did you really tour that record? You did a couple of songs for the Dynasty tour, right? You did.
Not in Kiss, the Gene Simmons band that I turned Ace onto. I said, you got to stop with your current band, get rid of them. The band that backed me up. I took Ace on an Australian tour to open up for us. And I told him, no road crew, no nothing. You don't need that. Pocket the money. My guys, my backing band, are going to learn your songs, and you don't even have to rehearse. They know it. They're big fans. They'll know. So he showed up and bang, bang, bang. So when I went off tour, Ace wanted to know if he could use the band. I said, sure. And so did the band. So the band that Ace tours with used to be my backup band. So those guys and I used to do, oh my God, stuff Kiss never played. Got Love for Sale, Radioactive, Tunnel of Love, all kinds of things. That originally, I did demos with Alex and Eddie Van Halen, actually.
Yeah, I can't picture that the sound of that. I never heard the demos. That's
Oh,
wild.
you can Google and schmoogle it. And the guitar solo, in Christine 16, note for note. I had Ace learn that solo, and he was furious. I want to write my own solo. Yeah, but it's not as good. Eddie's got a better one. And to this day, those notes, that was Eddie's note for note solo.
Eddie's
and you can look it up. Christine 16, Gene, Alex, and Eddie Van Halen. You'll hear.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let me ask you. This is one from my daughter. To complete the fifth, this is. Will there ever be another Kiss cruise? There's rumors that the Gene Simmons band, Paul Soul Station. Will there be anything in the future?
We're talking about it.
There's talk about that. Okay.
Sure.
All right. And then the other one, I know fans want to know, and I got to give them what they want to know. Gene Simmons solo band, USA dates, United States, right here on our soil. Anything?
So far, nothing. Just because the European dates take us through the middle of August. But if the Deep Purple thing pans out, and they're talking about it now, because it's always about price and things like that. If it works out, then yeah, there'll be quite a few dates from mid-August to mid-September in America.
Yeah.
And but we don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. And then the fans, they all seem, you get all these reviews about the ending of the Kiss avatars. Is there any like confirmation? What's it going to be? What's it going to look like? People are so confused, Gene. And you could plead the fifth, but if you have any.
I would zipit.com. That means no comment.
Look,
part of the fun of Christmas is when you open your present, you're shocked and surprised and hopefully delighted. So why would I tell you in February what you're going to get for Christmas?
So you got something special hiding in a box somewhere that you're going to share with
the world. There's so much hard work being done behind the scenes, and what I've seen will blow your mind. So in a very real way, our end is really like the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. The end is the beginning.
The end is the beginning. I like it. So there is life after Kiss.
You can't make us go away. The touring band has stopped touring. Kiss, the touring band. for real reasons, because we respect and honor the fans. You don't want to be up on that stage with a cane or with a walking. What do they call that?
The walker? Are you talking about
Yeah, the walker.
The walk? No, you don't.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I'm going to tell you from my point of view, my personal opinion. Without kissing your ass, I think you guys did it really great. I think you ended on a high note. While you're here, you're above ground. You got to see everything, and
That's
it
the
is
way to
time.
do it.
And that's
Yeah,
the way
that's
to
the way
do
to
it.
do it.
You spend some time.
Grateful and thankful is another word to the fans who made it all possible. Changed our lives. And to Ace and Peter, who were there at the beginning, who deserve kudos. Not everybody, like baseball teams and soccer teams, you don't always have the same players, but certainly the beginning players made it possible for the later players. So you have to give credit to everybody. Everybody who was in the band deserves credit for shaping it.
Absolutely. Gene Simmons, I know you're a busy man. I'll let you go. You spent some time with me. Will you promise to come back on here and not give me a hard time? Would you? Was it okay to hang with me today?
Can I get back to you on that? Would
I'll
it be
send you.
okay if next time you put some pants on?
I actually am wearing my pajama bottoms, but for you, next time, maybe I'll even send you one
Just
of these with rainbow cookies.
I've got a Woody. They don't know what a rainbow. I call them Jew cakes. They don't know what a rainbow cookie is.
They're fantastic. Order them. Gene's favorite cake. You could send
By
it
the
to.
way, the best ones are from Brooklyn. It's Magda's, Magda, Magda's Bakery there. They make them fresh every day.
I want to thank all our members here, and I want to thank Gene Simmons for spending some time with us. Make sure you follow Gene. Links for Gene will be in our description, and click on the box you see right here on your screen, and don't forget to post your comments. We always love to hear from you. Who loves you, baby? We do. Stay beautiful.